Some exchange betting companies run short-lived promotions, like month-long offers of low commission. At BetDAG, we wanted to change the way we did things, so we set our commission at 2% permanently. That's 2% on football, horse racing, golf, almost any sport. 2%. That's just one way that BetDAG is changing for the better. For the better, like you. BetDAG, the 2% commission exchange.
Over 18s only, please gamble responsibly.
Hello and welcome back to the ROKER Report. I think it's an extra podcast, or whatever you want to call it, another player interview. We've got someone who I've personally interviewed before, but you've never heard the interview, you've only read the interview, and I thought it would be good to get him on the podcast. We've had a few technical difficulties, but we are through, we are all right. Someone who many Sunderland fans, especially if you were born in the 90s, will know. It's Chris Makin. How are you doing, Chris? Are you well?
Hi, Graham. It's great to finally talk to you.
Yeah.
Some problems that way, but hopefully this will do now.
Yeah, one or two. For people listening, we tried to do a podcast about a month ago, and you had a chest infection. Is that right?
Yeah, I couldn't hold an interview without being able to cough all the way through it, so it would have been a waste of time. But we just tried to link up through another app, and we couldn't do that. So we're going to try it this way, and hopefully it goes well.
We'll get there eventually, and it'll be all right. DIY till I die, you know what I mean? So.
All right.
So I wanted to start off with word association, right? So it doesn't have to be just one word. It doesn't have to be a sentence. It can just be the first word.
Graham, you do realise, me and Buzz, we have Alzheimer's, you know that, don't you? We're losing the plot out here. You want to do word association?
Too much sun in it.
Come on, mate. Go on, let's give it a go then.
Right. Right, Peter Reid.
Angry.
Bobby Saxton.
Angry.
Nicky Summerby.
Say it again.
Nicky Summerby.
Crosses. Morning, that, isn't it? Crosses.
Yeah, it's accurate though. Kevin Phillips.
Goals.
Niall Quinn.
Oh, headers.
Chris Byrne.
Character.
And finally, Milton Nunes.
Oh, that's easy, that, isn't it? It's small. Tiny.
Just a little bit, mate. Yeah.
There was terrible answers then. Sorry about that.
No, I was quite happy with them. Oh, no, actually, I had one more. Kevin Ball.
Go. Oh, captain.
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah.
So, I know the answers to some of this, but nonetheless, we'll start from the beginning, right? So,
yeah.
Oh, we're going back now, aren't we? Jeez. What? Is it 21 years ago now?
Oh, that's scary, that.
It is, isn't it? Scary for me.
Scary.
And we're looking at...
what season are we looking at?
97, 98, I think. You joined in 97?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And obviously, you'd been at Marseille. I know, where's the time gone, mate? Jeez. So Stadium Lights just opened, but I think you were one of the first in the door. So how does the move come about?
I was in Marseille, and the agent I had at the time, Mike Morris of Manchester, Peter Reid, knew very well. So he kept in touch with me while I played in Marseille. And at the end of the first year, they made a bid. The president of Marseille called me for a meeting and made it very plain to me that they wanted the money from me. And anything in football, if a football club doesn't want you, or a certain person at a football club doesn't want you, you have to move on because it's all about playing games. Yeah. And even though I loved it at Marseille, I knew the president didn't want me there, so it was time to move on. I was lucky enough to be able to go to a club like Sunderland.
Was there anyone else after you at the time?
I can't. You know what, Graham? I really can't remember. But once I used Sunderland, were coming in for me, even though they were in the what it's called now, the Championship. It was the old Division 1. Yeah. I wanted to go because for me it was all about playing in front of a big crowd, and I got used to that in Marseille, and I knew I'd have more of that at Sunderland. So that's what it was all about for me.
What convinced you it was the right place?
I didn't even have to go. I didn't even have to come back and have a look. I'll tell you, I came back to Sunderland and I went for talks with Reed, and I went round the old ROKER Park, which was still standing then, because it was just about to move into the new, the Stadium of Light.
Yeah.
But I didn't need any convincing. Once Marseille, once the president told me, and then I went to see the manager, and once they told me they wanted the money for me, then it made it quite easy for me. And I didn't even have to go and see Sunderland, really. I didn't have to make the trip back to Sunderland. And I was always going to sign for Sunderland, so that was it. It was all about, I remember talking to my dad, and Sunderland's one of those clubs where you're going to play in front of a big crowd. And they had a good team, and really had done well there anyhow, so it was a no-brainer for me.
I mean, obviously you're a northern boy as well, so that when you're looking at the semantics of moving and where you're moving to, obviously you're coming from France, which I imagine is a bit of a wrench anyway, to be honest, no matter where you're going to. But
it was. Yeah.
Going North England, further north, that surely wouldn't have affected you at all.
No, anything like that didn't bother me. If you look through my career, where I played all over the country, it was, listen, when you're having negotiations, money is important because that's your livelihood. But
yeah,
I would never ever discount a football club because of its location. I just go off the football club, and if I had a feeling for the football club, and I know enough about English football. I know what all the football clubs bring with in terms of crowd and the stadium and all that. And I had no qualms about going up to Sunderland. I played down south at Ipswich and Southampton. The football clubs, right? You go and play for that football club.
And then obviously we brought a few players in that summer. We mentioned one of them, Chris Byrne. Someone who actually obviously had his debut as well. But obviously we played Sheffield United the first game, but then Man City at home. And I know you're a massive Red as well, so that would have been big for you as well. But opening day of the Stadium of Light, I remember it like it was yesterday. Dawn of a new era, great game. What's your memories of it?
I'm sure I signed the forms on that day, so I wasn't playing. I wasn't part of the squad that night, so I went along as a spectator, and it was just the buzz of the new stadium on it. The big move from ROKER Park. Excuse me. I don't think many of the supporters wanted to leave ROKER Park, but once they saw the new stadium and what it brought with it, I think we played Ajax that night. There was a band on before the game. Who was the band?
Status Quo.
Status Quo, that's it, yeah. Today was on before. And the atmosphere was electric, and all the Mackers were just made up with a new stadium. That's the feeling that I got. It was just exciting times, wasn't it?
Oh, it was brilliant. I mean, it was, I remember Bowley scoring in the first 5 minutes or something, getting disallowed as well, but then
you've got a better memory than me. I can't remember that.
Well, I'm actually known as like the Sunderland Encyclopedia. That's the one thing that doesn't go in my head. I remember I could probably name you the squad, to be completely honest with you.
I tell you what, I remember Van der Sar playing, and I remember was it one of the Laudrups?
Michael Laudrup was in midfield, and I think
was he?
I want to say Frank Rijkaard was there as well, but I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong.
Right. I remember Van der Sar and one of the Laudrups. That's all I remember.
Michael Laudrup was in midfield, and you had I want to say Kluivert was there as well, but I could be completely wrong with that. It was a while ago, to be fair.
When they win the European Cup, was that 96 or
95? I think it was
95.
95, yeah. Great side when you think about it. We drew 0-0 with them. I'm sure. It's a friendly game, a little bit different, but it was a nice game to open the stadium, shall we say. But then, as I was saying before, you're a Man United fan, right?
Yeah.
And then we played Man City, was your first home game. Now that's right, yeah. Had a little bit more of a, obviously because it was a league game, more of a serious edge. And on top of that as well, it was a good performance, and it was the first league game, the first league goals.
Well, we had to bounce back. We got beat at Sheffield United on the opening day.
Yeah, we did.
I can't remember much about that game.
It was bad.
I remember it being very physical, but not much about the game. So we had to bounce back. Was it on a Friday night, that game? Am I right in thinking that?
Yes, it was.
Sky?
It was. That's right. It was a Friday night game. It was live on Sky.
And we played well. We did bounce back, and we played well, and we deserved the victory. I remember Buzzer coming on. He was a substitute for Sitter, and I played against him that night. He came on as a sub, and I played up against him. And we had a few verbals, as we normally do. But it was a good win, and it was nice to beat, a club like City, and it was in front of, I think there was about 30-odd thousand there that night.
It was actually more. I think there was near enough 40. I think it was one of those ones where we pulled a lot in, and I think it dipped a little bit with a poor form. But then obviously when we took off, it really took off. And the start of the season didn't really go to plan, and it all sort of culminated, didn't it, in like a 4-0 defeat at Reading. But then after that,
I remember that one.
Oh yeah, things turned round a little bit, didn't they? But what changed?
Everyone associates, especially some of the players, including me, that when we got promoted, and it was all good days. I had some bad days there right at the start. And you just said one there, Reading, 4-0 away from home. I broke my nose as well. It was just the most horrendous day. Who else? We struggled. I tell you, we struggled again. We played Huddersfield. I think we might have beaten them, but
3-1.
It was an horrible atmosphere. I remember when we battered Norwich at home and we got beat 1-0. And everyone was having a go at Reedy over the tunnel and all that. So it wasn't all. We didn't have many good days at the start of the stadium, alike.
No, I think it was pretty much that Reading game that brought things to a head, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, it was asking for Reedy's head. They wanted Reedy out and all that. I think Cookie, John Cook was bringing out the skip, and he was having a go at Cookie as well. He was always the kit man. Cookie was getting a bit of stick as well.
Still there, Cookie as well. Still there. I don't think he'll ever leave. But what was it that changed in the dressing room after the Reading game? What? Because we went on the run we went on was ridiculous. Yeah,
I don't know whether Reedy was forced into it, or maybe it was part of his plan. But he brought a few of the younger players into the team. I got injured. Darren Holloway come in. Darren Williams, Jody, Craddock. Trying to think now. Anyone else come in? I think. Was Mickey playing as a left back then, or did he move back to left back?
He started the season on the right and left wing, but then he moved to left back when Jody and Whatnot came in.
That was a fantastic move, and I just think the young players come in and they got a win, and obviously they found the confidence, and I think Lee Clark came into a bit of form. He started scoring goals, and for some reason it just took off. And then I think we got towards, I don't know what month it was, but I remember they played Portsmouth away, and it was Buzzer's first game.
4-1.
I think they beat Portsmouth away.
Yeah.
And I think the introduction of Buzzer when he came in was fabulous for Niall Quinn more than anyone. Which that meant that Kevin Phillips could play more off Niall Quinn than with Alan Johnson on the other wing. It all just seemed to click.
It was like perfect timing with Summerby coming in, and then you had obviously Mickey Gray and Johnson on the wing. It was telepathic. But then I think also you had, obviously it came a little bit later because I think Darren Holloway pretty much got the first team spot in the first season, but you had a really similar.
Fabulous season.
You did.
Fabulous season.
You had a really good season and did really, really well. And I think it was injury, wasn't it, that really put him out of that? Was it the playoff game because he came in at half time?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Dan. I don't know. I remember coming on at half time. I couldn't wait to get on because I'd had a nightmare season in terms of an injury. And then when I got in the side, we was conceding goals, and I was in and out of the side. And I just wanted to end the season on a high, so I wanted to do everything possible to just get on the pitch at Wembley. I don't know how many subs there were in them days. I remember being on the bench with, I think, Alex Ray.
I think it was 5, Alex Ray was on the bench.
Did Alex start the game?
No, Alex came on with yourself and Danny Dichu,
right.
I think.
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to enjoy the day, and in the first half we didn't play well against Charlton, so I just wanted to have an impact on the game. And certainly had that. We ended up 4-4, and the penalties that came after the game. It was some day that against Charlton.
Exhausting, I think, is the word that many of us would probably use. But when it comes
we kept on taking the lead, and they just kept on pegging us back. And especially the last goal when we went 4-3 up, and then it was, the free header was it Richard Rufus at the back post?
Yeah, the third one.
Lionel decided to come off his line. Couldn't quite get to the cross, and Richard Rufus just headed it back into the empty goal. That was a killer for us then.
Were you confident we were going to win it before you went into the game?
Very confident, because I'm trying to think back. We was on a fantastic run going into the playoffs, weren't we?
I think
we beat Sheffield United over 2 legs, was it? Well, they beat us in the first leg. We beat them at the Stadium of Light. Yeah. Was that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But they were on a fantastic. The lads were. I want part of it, but the lads were on a fantastic run to finish. Did we finish third?
We finished third on 90 points, which I believe is still a record as well.
Incredible.
For not getting promoted.
I know. 90 points, that's unbelievable, isn't it?
Missed out by a point, and it was just that. It was basically just that game against Ipswich.
I played in that one as well.
Yeah. We
got beaten out, didn't we, as well? Probably my fault, yeah. I remember that one. That was a belting atmosphere down there at Portman Road. Remember that? I think that was a midweek night. I remember it.
It was like a rearranged game. It was like our game in hand, where if basically we didn't lose, we probably would have went up automatically. But would it have been too soon though? Like looking back.
Yeah. I think so. I really do, because we were a very entertaining side, but we didn't have that. We didn't have that little bit of steel at the back, did we? I don't think we were known for keeping clean sheets. Whereas the following season, we became very mean at the back, didn't we?
It totally changed. I think the season afterwards, you went from. I mean, Jody Craddock was a great defender and ended up having a great career. Yeah. But if you look at Andy Melville kind of came in, and then you had Paul Butler came in, and it was just a total.
Yeah, it was a bit of experience was added to the back, and everyone goes about the points that we achieved and maybe all the goals that we scored, but I'm sure we kept a lot of clean sheets as well during that promotion season. I
think the promotion season, actually, Thomas Sorensen broke the record for the amount of clean sheets for a Sunderland goalkeeper. I can't remember how many. I think it was like 24 or something like that. It was ridiculous.
I tell you what, you're good at stats, you, Graham.
It's the only thing I really care about in my life, Sunderland, Chris.
You are very good. So, that's very impressive.
I'm getting there, but give me 10 years and come back to me and we'll see where I'm at.
You'll be a commentator in 10 years, you.
I wish, mate.
Keep going where you're going.
Well, if you've got any contacts, you know where to send them. Now, I didn't want to labour too much on the... Well, actually, I did want to labour on the playoff final, but I didn't want to think about it too much. But I think the question for me... You were heavily involved, whereas beforehand, if we're honest, for that season, you weren't that involved as you were in the future. But how do you prepare yourself for Wembley, not knowing if you're going to get on the pitch? And then when you get on the pitch, how do you handle a game like that, the before, the middle and the after?
It was frustration coming out. I'd had a nightmare season. I started off in the team, then I got a bad injury against Swindon at home, and then... I think I did the ankle ligaments, and I was out for about three months, and then I came back, and then every time I came back, I seemed to make a mistake, so that led to a goal, and it was just one of those seasons. And then towards the end of the season, I just found a little bit of form and a little bit of fitness. I remember working really hard on my fitness, and we knew we were going to Wembley, so I just wanted to be right for. I just wanted to give myself a chance in case he did call. He did put me on as a sub, or if he did name me as a sub. So I just wanted to be as fit as possible, and I just wanted to end the season on a high, and not just for the football club, but for me as well. I just wanted to play really well if it was given a chance, and in the end, I came on at half time, and I just wanted to make the absolute most of it. And that's why I took a penalty when I should never have.
To be fair, that it wasn't the best of penalties, was it, Chris? Let's be honest.
It's terrible. You know what? I've seen it back so many times. Well, not so many times. I can't watch it. But I'll say it was terrible. I've seen the angle. I don't know whether it's from above or above the net, but it's nowhere near the corner. How he never saved Sasha Ilic. He needs shooting for that, by the way.
The thing is, with that as well, though, like, obviously, I'm guessing you still speak to Mickey Gray, yeah?
Yeah.
How often do you remind Mickey that it could have been you that was him, but it was him instead?
We never talk about it. It's just, you know what? The good thing about all that is we smashed the league the next year and got promoted, so it was just quickly forgotten about.
It is, isn't it? It's funny. I mean,
it's weird. It's only when you talk to these types of podcasts when they bring up. I never ever think about it because when I think back to my time at Sunderland is the promotion season.
Yeah,
it's like that season never really happened. You don't really concentrate on the failures, do you? Or you don't like to look back on the failures.
And I think when you look back as well, because obviously we started late getting into our stride, like October time, but once we got into that, so it was almost like a precursor for like how good we were going to be next season, wasn't it? Really.
Well, if you're going to get promoted out of that Championship or Division 1, what it was called back then, you need to go on 15 to 20 matches unbeaten run, don't you?
Yeah.
If you look at the best teams that have been promoted, they go on these mad runs, don't they?
Yeah.
And I think Sunderland in the first season when I was there, I think they reached about 18 games or something unbeaten, which is an incredible run. That's what shot them right up to third place in the end. And then the following season was outrageous, wasn't it?
Oh, it was like, I mean, just from the first game to the end, and I think there was a game that I remember, and it was we played Ipswich sort of late August, I think it was, and John Mullen and Kevin Phillips scored, and it was kind of like laying to go, like, because Ipswich were a good team. They had Kieran Dyer, they had Matty Holland, they had players that would become like Premiership players for seasons and seasons, and we went there and just dominated them with all due respect, John Mullen in midfield. And I think we just
where was that, down at Ipswich?
Yeah, it was down at Portman Road. 2-0 end of August.
Did I play in that one?
Yes, I think. I remember Mickey Gray had this horrendous sort of blonde, white. Oh, it was. I mean,
it wasn't blonde. It was white.
I'll never.
You could have taken blonde,
but
white.
It was like a mullet.
Coronation Street.
It was like a mullet.
Well, Phyllis. She had blue hair, didn't she? Phyllis.
He's got his California record now.
Did he after that penalty, Mickey?
Yeah, it was midlife crisis, that one, I think.
Made him even worse. I can't remember that game at Ipswich. I can't remember that at all. That's why I asked if I played.
Yeah, I think you did. I'm pretty certain you did. I know it was pretty early on in the season, but I mean, then again, I think I could be wrong here, but I think you ended up kind of getting in the team around sort of Norwich away, and it was after Kevin Phillips had got injured, and it was sort of Mickey Bridges, Quinny, and Dicio sort of holding the fort. And if I remember rightly, you actually sort of scored against Norwich. The goalkeeper Marshall punched it in the back of the net.
Right, yeah. It was like a cross, a diagonal pass or cross to the far post towards Quinny. I think he might have got a touch, or it just went in, or the goalkeeper got a touch in it. It was an own goal or something like that.
Yeah, I think it went down.
I remember that was a night game as well.
Thing is with that season for you individually as well, right? I mean, obviously we trounced the entire division, like the whole way through. Yeah. You got back into the side, yes, but you sort of turned into a cult hero in that season because of the whole shoot thing. When did you first start becoming aware of that?
Good question, Graham. I can't remember at all. Did it come in that season?
Yeah, because
that season
you were like the only player that didn't score that season.
Towards the end of the season?
Yeah, more or less, when we were like hammering teams, and it was just like you were the only one that hadn't scored, I think, in the whole season.
Right, okay, yeah.
Everyone else had scored.
Is that the reason for it? Right.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, why were we so good that season?
It's hard, we had a good start, and then we seemed to gather a lot of confidence with that. And then when you couple that with the good players that we had, Reedy and Bobby had assembled a squad full of good players. Now Quinn, very experienced. Nicky Sumby at that stage of his career was very experienced. Lee Clark, Kevin Ball, Andy Melville. And you're talking a lot of players that were very experienced professionals. And then you had a little bit of magic with Mickey Gray and Alan Johnson, who just seemed to they just clicked straight away, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then it's just, as I said, as the season goes on, you get more confidence and you just become stronger. So
I think the big thing
it was a wonderful season to be involved with, because when you turn that Stadium of Light into a fortress, it's something else, and we did that, and we fed off the supporters. The supporters were feeding off our performances, and it just all clicks. But sometimes you can't come up with a reason. Sometimes, and if you had to break it down into basics, Peter Reid put together a fantastic squad at the time.
It was a good squad in terms of like quality, right? And there was good partnerships all over the pitch. There was you, Summerby, Gray, Johnson, Quinn, Phillips, either Ray, Clark, Ray, Ball, Clark. There was good.
Exactly.
But the one thing that you could also tell, and it might sound a bit cheesy, but you could tell you all wanted to work for each other on the pitch. Now, I think we know we had quite a good drinking squad, but what was it that galvanised that kind of team spirit where not just the quality was there, but you also had you were all mates, and you could tell, and you're still mates.
Yeah, I don't think you could ever... Listen, it was different in them days, because the players won't go out for a drink. It was a different lifestyle and different culture. But you could never put down that promotion to us going out and bonding over a drink, and you don't get promoted through that. It's all the way around. That comes after the wins. So first and foremost comes the football, then the winning of the games, and then all of a sudden we were close mates. Then you're going out celebrating the wins, then you become a lot closer. But it's all down to the football. It wasn't just down to having a great team spirit. That comes with winning matches. Believe you may have been involved in football clubs where we got fantastic players there, a good group of players and good pals and all that. And for some reason or another, you're not winning matches, and it becomes a nightmare. And it's just all to do with winning football matches. And for some reason, you asked for a reason before, it just clicked that season. And you're talking about if Bally got injured or Lee Clark, and then a player like Alex Ray comes in.
Yeah.
A fantastic options to have. If Buzzer got injured, I remember Martin Smith coming in at one stage. What a wonderful talent he was. Danny Deacho could come in for Kevin Phillips or Quinney. And we had that all over the pitch. Earlier the centre-halves got injured, then Jody Craddock and Darren Williams was in reserve. Me and Darren Holloway.
It was just, when you look back, I suppose there is a point that there was competition all over the pitch as well. But
yeah, there's another good point, what you just said there, Graham. I knew if I wasn't on my tour, I was determined to keep my place that year. I was confident I could do it, but I always knew that if I got injured again or, started getting a bit lackadaisical, then I knew Darren Holloway was a top fullback, because I've seen the form he produced the season before. And he had that all over the pitch, so the players that weren't playing were pushing the players in the first team.
When you think about it as well, right, Kevin Phillips was injured for 4 months. Lee Clark was injured for 3 months.
What, that promotion season?
Yeah, Phillips broke his toe and was out for 3 or 4 months, but then you had Michael Bridges came in. Bridges, Deacho, Quinney and Phillips. Yeah, and Michael Bridges, if it wasn't for that injury that he got at Leeds, he would have played for England. He was one of the best strikers England that we have ever produced, but unfortunately got injured later on when he went to Leeds. Which actually, here's a point for you as well, though. I don't know whether you remember it, but come the end of that season, you had the Lee Clark situation. You had Alan Johnson and Michael Bridges turning down a contract. Did that filter out towards the players as well? Did you get to hear anything about that, or was it just business as usual?
No, we knew what was going on. We knew more or less in the sun about what Clarkey did down at Wembley. I think that was against United.
Yeah, it was.
1999, yeah. I was at that game. Well, Clarkey did what he did at that. so straight away he was never going to play for Sunderland again. So, and I think he ended up going down to Fulham. And then I remember coming into training. We were training in pre-season, and then as we were going home, then Alan Johnson and Mickey Bridges were coming into train on their own because something had gone wrong with the contract talks, I seem to remember. So that was strange. So before you know it, we've been promoted with a fabulous side, and then we're 3 players down, 3 great players: Alan Johnson, Mickey Bridges, and Lee Clark. So there's 3 fantastic attacking players that we're missing already going into the Premiership. You're thinking, we really need to get a move on here and bolster the team, not just the squad, but the team with good players.
What were your thoughts on the Lee Clark situation, and how did the squad react to that?
It was just, I thought it was a massive mistake, but I don't know whether he did it on purpose or not, because did he want to play against Newcastle for Sunderland? I'm not so sure. So maybe it was a way out for him. I don't know. You'd have to ask Lee Clark that. I don't know. Never really asked him.
We had him on the podcast not long ago, actually, and he alluded to that.
He was a massive miss because he was a fantastic player. And then the other 2 as well. He just, after such a wonderful promotion campaign, and then it carried on. It was supposed to carry on through the summer, and then when you come back for pre-season, then you see those 3 players are involved, thinking, what's going to go on here now? We should be more buoyant going into the Premiership season. So it was a bit of a knockback to the squad, really.
Yeah. When things like that happen, though, right? Because it didn't affect us when you look back, because we had a great first season back. Yeah. When you look back at stuff like that, Bowley was obviously the captain at that point. And Bowley's someone, I've interviewed as well, great bloke. But how important does things like team spirit and having people like Kevin Ball as captain come into play at moments like that? How quickly do you galvanise? Because if you have 3 players, especially 3 first teamers and 2 really important first teamers, yes, Bridges, we had Phillips, yes, obviously Clarkey, we had Alex Ray, but Alan Johnson and Mickey Gray, losing Johnson going into the season, losing Clarkey going into the season was huge when you look back, and a massive miss. But how important is it to have people like Kevin Ball and people like having that kind of team spirit around at that point to kind of keep you all galvanising together?
Of course it was. It was massive. And you're talking about Ball, you had Quinny, and then Stevie Ball joined the football club, which was absolutely massive, by the way.
Brilliant.
And don't forget, I mean, we took a bit of flair out of, with the departure of Alan Johnson, but Stefan Schwartz coming to that left-hand side was absolutely, I mean, he was an international player, he was top class. I remember doing a training session once. I'm sure we were abroad somewhere, and Thomas Helmer joined from Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And he played in his training session. I've never seen anything like it. When I looked at Buzz, I said, "Oh my word! He was playing everything one touch. She couldn't get near him. He was absolutely incredible." So these types of players came in. So even though at the start, this was at the very start of pre-season when we lost Nash, Clarkey, Bridges and Alan Johnson. But then as pre-season went on, Peter Reid started bringing these class players in: Stevie Bowles, Stefan Schwartz, Thomas Helmer, and the level of the training absolutely just went up. I don't know how much it was. It was incredible. The training sessions were unbelievable. The quality that Thomas Helmer and those players brought into the football club was incredible.
What happened with Thomas Helmer?
I don't know. I don't know. The rumour at the time was Bobby Saxton felt he didn't have the legs to maybe play in the Premiership, which I don't know. You'd have to ask Bobby Saxton that, or maybe really thought that. But then why bring him to the football club in the first place?
Yeah,
he was an incredible player.
He went on to play in the Champions League.
You know what you do nowadays with him. I mean, you couldn't really do it in them days because everyone played 4-4-2. So you'd like to play him in front of the back four if possible.
Yeah,
it would have been unbelievable there. But we didn't play that, or no one played that formation at the time.
So first game of the season, you get Chelsea. Always going to be a tough game anyway. I think, as you said before, at that point we had people like Steve Bold, Schwartz, who had got over that, losing players that we hadn't brought in genuine, absolute class and quality, great season.
Yeah.
Then you go to Chelsea and you get hammered. How do you? Does it bring you back down to earth a little bit?
They were struggle with injuries going into that game. I don't think we had the full side out. I remember
there was a few missing.
I remember Chris Lumsden. I don't know whether that was his Premiership debut.
It was, yeah.
Chris Lumsden played that day, and Chelsea was one of the best teams in anyhow. So they just signed Chris Sutton.
Yeah.
A massive amount of money. And I remember him. He should have had a hat trick that day. I mean, we should have been. It was 4-0 on the day. It should have been about 8 or 10. Really was. Chris Sutton kept on going through 1-on-1, and they were a top class side then, or it was just becoming to be a top class side, and they ripped us apart.
I suppose, looking back at how the results panned out, though, getting smashed that early in the season, is that a good thing in hindsight?
No.
How
was that a good thing?
I just thought it might have prepared you.
What do you mean, just get it out of the way?
At least you knew what you were up against.
Well, we weren't expected to compete against the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, United, them teams at the top of the time. So you could look at it in a positive way, or the only way to look at it is at least we got it out of the way, and then we concentrate on the midweek game, which was we played Watford. Yeah, I think on the Tuesday. I mean, and the way we were feeling at the time, that was more or less a guaranteed win. Yeah, and it proved to be. How did Peter? I mean, I know from speaking to players from that era, Peter Reid and Bobby Saxton, especially Bobby Saxton, was huge in terms of getting the team sort of together. So we hadn't been used to losing for a while at that point, and then we lose 4-0. What does Bobby Saxton and Peter Reid say to you after that? As a kind of like move on with the next game, or were you kind of accepting of it? I mean, I can't remember what the words were or what the team talk was or the debrief, whatever you want to call it, after the match. But I'm sure it would have been along them lines. Forget about that. They're one of the top teams in the country. Nothing was expected at the time. So forget about it. I think the most important game, I think if they would have looked at the games, the fixture list before the season, you would have wrote Chelsea off anyhow and just concentrated on that Watford game. Yeah. Putting fixtures up and thinking, right, where are we going to get points from in this season? There's not many people would have put us down for a draw or a win against Chelsea away, but they would have put us down for a win against Watford on the Tuesday night, and that's how it panned out. And then on the Saturday, though, you go up against a better side and you get points against Arsenal on the Saturday. What score was that? It was, they had Bergkamp, they had Anelka, they had... Did we draw or Henry, 0-0, drew 0-0, got a clean sheet. 0-0? Yeah. Right, okay. Well, there you go. They seem to have a good record against Arsenal at the Stadium of Light. Remember getting the draw there, and then the following season we beat them 1-0, did we? Quinny scored. Yep, opening day of the season. Right? Yeah. Bang on. Excuse me, yeah. So, so all of a sudden after that bad game, you beat Watford on the Tuesday, you pick up a clean sheet and a point up against Arsenal, who were alongside United, the top team in the country at the time. So then your confidence is absolutely sky high. The big thing for me, if you remember at the end of that month, was the Derby game, right? And I think that's when we really took off as well. Obviously, that understandably has there's loads of confidence you can take from winning the Derby for 1,000,001 reasons. Yeah. But that was your first Derby against them. What are your memories of the game? It must have been mad just to play it in the game itself with the weather and everything like that. Well, the stadium was being rebuilt. I think we only had, did we have something similar, like 500 fans there or something like that? Relatively small, yeah. Something like that. And it was just a downpour. You know what? They wouldn't play that game now. No. It was walking through the tunnel and the water was above your boots and the pitch was atrocious. Sometimes the ball wasn't moving, and the good thing about that game was we come from a goal down. It was 1-0 down at half time. Really? The second half. And I remember the two victories against Newcastle in both seasons, and we always used to come on strong in the second half against Newcastle. They always used to have a bright start against us, but we always used to outplay them after that. And I think the second half we were well on top. But I remember just at the end there when Baldy went in for that tackle, he nearly turned into the tackle nearly turned into an own goal. That's how powerful his tackle was.
I mean, you were like right next to him when that happened, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, you just saw the ball loop and you're thinking, oh, no, here we go. You don't want to, you think you want the free, you're going to get the 3 points. And so if you conceded a goal like that, you'd be absolutely gutted. Well, look, did it go off the post or the bar or something like that?
Crossbar, pinged off. It went right over Thomas Sorensen's head and just pinged off the bar. Went straight out for a corner, which they wasted.
And then we had a fabulous win, and we all went back to O'Neill's in Durham for a drink after that.
And was that one of many messy nights? Or
it was at the time, but like I say, you couldn't do it nowadays, and you wouldn't do it nowadays if you was a professional footballer. Now you change with the times, but back then it was part of the game.
Why do you think that changed?
Yeah, it was. I think Arsene Wenger came over, and he had a bit of. It was changing anyhow. I won't push it down to Arsene Wenger, but he did have a big impact in the way that he off the field. What he achieved with Arsenal was massive, and I think that filtered through to other clubs. It was changing anyhow. I remember being at Oldham Athletic, and Joe Rowe left, and Graham Sharp became player manager, and he stopped. I think he stopped the booze on the coach after the games. Going, what did he stop? He stopped crisps or something as silly as that. But players used to eat crisps and got all sorts of crap on the coach, and he stopped all that. So it was coming in anyhow, and it's just the way it was, wasn't it? It just changes all the time, and the game evolves, and that side of things was phased out.
Some exchange betting companies run short-lived promotions, like months-long offers of low commission. At BetDAG, we wanted to change the way we did things, so we set our commission at 2% permanently. That's 2% on football, horse racing, golf, almost any sport. 2%. That's just one way that BetDAG is changing for the better. For the better, like you. BetDAG, the 2% commission exchange.
Over 18s only, please gamble responsibly.
So, moving away from obviously that sort of stuff as well, and the derby and things like that, I remember following that period, we were just ridiculous. We just, no matter who we came up against, we just, that was it. We beat them.
Remember Derby away?
5-0, yeah.
5-0.
One that sticks in my mind.
I think we beat them and then 5-0, and then we played Walsall in the cup in the week and
beat them 5-0.
The lads that weren't involved played in that, and they won 5-0. I'm sure they did.
Carsten Fredgaard scored 2.
Did he?
There's a blast from the past for you, Carsten Fredgaard. Jeez.
Wow, yeah.
Really going back. But the one game that really sticks out in my mind was Spurs at home. Now.
Oh yeah. Was that Halloween? On Halloween?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, that's right. With 31st
it was on a Sunday, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Now,
Quinny was incredible.
He scored twice, and you had Ginola just coming off the end of that season, obviously up against you as well.
Yeah.
Would you say he was the best you came up against, and how do you prepare going up against someone in that level of form?
It's a good point that. Because it was different in them days. It was 4-4-2. Everyone played 4-4-2, so it was always we used to have Bobby Saxon and the staff used to break it down into battles. So it was, like you say, my partnership with Nicky Sumner, we'd have to keep the right side strong, Mickey on the other side, the two central defenders, and so on. But I never used to get and I didn't mind it, and it was part of our partnership anyhow. But I never used to get a lot of help off Buzzer defensively, and he didn't expect a lot of me going forward because he didn't want the full. He didn't want a fullback overlapping him because he wanted the space to attack the fullback on the outside. So we knew our limits with each other. So I remember being particularly nervous before the Tottenham game because I was up against Ginola, and I'd seen what he'd done in the previous years. He's one of the best wingers, so-called wingers at the time. So I was nervous, but I was really, really determined to have a good game against him. And I'd done my job. He got took off at half time, so that was my job done.
Yeah, that's true. He came off the back of Player of the Season, did he not?
I just remember him being outstanding. I tell you what it was. I'd seen him, I'd watched him against Gary Neville, and he tore Gary Neville apart. And I remember going into this game thinking, because he was 2-footed, Ginola. So when you're up against a winger with 1 foot, then it's quite easy to, not easy to play against, but it makes it easier. But when you're up against a winger that was like Ginola, who had 2 fabulous feet, you're thinking, which way do we show him? Do we show him down the line or show him inside? And I remember thinking about it all week, how we're going to approach this game. And in the end, I just managed to be up for the game and just did a number on it.
Not long after that sort of period as well, though, we hit a really bad run of form, didn't we?
Yeah, was it over Christmas?
Yeah, going into the new year, really. Why? I think it was 13 games we went unbeaten. What was it that happened from memory that took you from essentially like in the top 4 to suddenly we didn't go mid-table, but we dropped to 7th or 8th? And was it just a case of we didn't have the strength and depth, or was it just that? Yeah.
I remember. Kevin Phillips being injured, and then I think when Kevin came back, Quinny was injured, and then so Deitch was coming in, and it just didn't click, especially when Deitch was more suited. The way we played at the time, Deitch was more suited to coming in and playing with Kev Phillips, but Quinny and Deitch, it didn't really go together, did they?
No.
Because obviously you're looking to it, Quinny on the diagonal, or you're looking to do that with Deitch, and then Kevin feed off that. So you couldn't really do it with Deitch or Quinny, because they both didn't have the pace to get in behind for the flick on. So that didn't really work out, and I think we had a real, obviously without Kevin won't scoring that many goals at the time. And when you look back at the end of that season, we only needed a point, or was it a point or 2?
Both seasons were really similar. It was maybe a point or a win away from 6th both times.
I think the point would have done it, because I think we might have had a better goal difference than Aston Villa in the first season. So we consider we went 13 games over that New Year period, and all we had to do was take a point. Would have been in Europe. Which, if there's any regrets, I don't really think back in my career, but I would have loved to have played in Europe with Sunderland, and I think we deserved it at the end of that season. Because at one stage we were really strong. Remember the Chelsea game at home? We absolutely dismantled them, 4-0 up at half time. I remember getting beat 5 away to Everton.
Yeah,
and then we hit back straight away. We went 2-0 up against United, and then they managed to get the last minute equaliser, or the last through Roy Keane. But those types of games, the atmospheres and all that, the stadium was bouncing. We had a good team, and I just felt we should have gone in Europe. We should have.
Do you think if we'd spent a little bit more money well, there wasn't a January transfer window then. Do you think if we'd maybe brought someone else in, do you think that would have made a difference? Because we had a good squad, but I can't think of where we could have added, but there was definitely something that was just missing.
I just think the mix was wrong up front for me. I don't think, especially when Kev was out, Kev was such a... Did he end up getting what did he win that season in terms of being a top goal scorer? Was it a Golden Boot?
Yeah, he won the Golden Boot, yeah.
And then surely he missed some games over that period, and then it's just that balance between Deitch and Quinny just wasn't right for me. Whereas if he had another short, sharp player like Kevin, who we could have bought maybe over that period, would have been better for us, I think.
There was a big over-reliance on Quinny as well, which became really apparent sort of much later on down the line. But
yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. So, you would have liked to give Quinny a little bit of rest, and Deitch would have been ideal to go into Quinny. Well, not Quinny and Deitch together. They just didn't marry each other because both played similar styles.
And if you had Michael Bridges had stayed, then you've got your direct replacement, which is what we had the season beforehand. And whereas Michael Bridges was scoring 25 goals down at Leeds at that point. Yeah,
there you go. There's your pacing behind there. If the ball's going up to Quinny, he's getting a flick on, or he's holding the ball up, then you got the runner just coming off his shoulder. Then that's your pacing behind the opposition defence.
Now, in that bad run that we had, we got beat 4-1 off Arsenal, right? You may remember it.
Right.
And then you've got Mickey, and you go out for a night out. Paparazzi step out, see you leaving the club with a certain person. Next game, manager drops you and Nicky Summerby.
Yeah.
What happened in the dressing room with that? Was that anything to do with the paparazzi stuff, or was it more of a case of...
We weren't in the papers. Me and Buzz weren't in the papers. We didn't get
Was it just Mickey?
It's a blonde bombshell, wasn't it?
Of course.
I think it was coming to a head. I don't think Reedy was happy without me knowing. Reedy wasn't happy with my form at the time. He wasn't happy with Buzzer, and things came to a head at Arsenal. And forget about the night. I had a blazing round with Reedy after the game anyhow. So Reedy dug me out, and I reacted, and he felt I wasn't showing good form, and I disagree with him, and we had a blazing row anyhow. So I knew he was in a lot of trouble anyhow. And this night out, and I didn't, because of the row with Reedy, I just didn't fancy going out. But I remember my dad saying, or some people now, just go and have a drink and forget about it, and then you start again on Monday. So I went out we went out, and it led to what it was. You know, we ended up going for the night out, and it was all pictured in the paint, splashed across all the bloody papers on the following Monday morning, and that just compounded the argument I had with Reader. And then I was dropped for the game. I think they played Leeds at home on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And they were done 2-0, and it just gave me a little bit of a way back in, really, because I think both the goals came from the right hand side. Me and Buzzer didn't play. I think we were both dropped.
Yeah, he did. He dropped you both. He dropped, and he played Darren Holloway and I can't remember who else he played in the wing. I think he put Alex Ray on the wing.
He might have done, but I remember both goals. I think we got beat 2-0. I think both goals came down the right hand side. So
yeah, they did.
You know, I think we were training on our own at the time. We'd seen what had happened to Alan Johnson and Mickey Bridges, and me and Buzzer ended up training on our own. I thought, oh my God, we might be out of the club here.
Did the situation, because you came back on the team like the week later, so what was said in between?
Newcastle.
Yeah, and you almost scored twice. And what happened?
I know.
Like, what happened within that period? Like, because there was a big thing with Peter Reid where if you fell foul of Reedy, it seemed like that was it. Yet you came back in.
There was a break after that Leeds match. There was a 2-week international or something like that, and as Reedy liked to do, he used to take the lads to Manchester for a bit of a social gathering, a bit of running down there, but more to get the lads together and a bit of a drink. And I remember the weekend Mike Tyson was fighting in Manchester, so the city went crazy. Everyone was there, and we were down there at the weekend as well. So, and like I said, the reason I came to Sunderland was because of the relationship between Peter Reid and my agent at the time, Mike Morris. And Mike Morris called me and said, "You better go down and you better go and sit down with Reid and have a little chat, see if you can make things up." So I went down for a chat with Reid, and we had a good chat. And he said, "Listen, I'm not guaranteeing you a place back in the team that's going against Newcastle, but I'll think about it." Anyhow, he put me and Buzzer back in for it, and it was a fabulous game. I think did we go 2-0 down?
We were 2-0 down the first 20 minutes, but Phillips
2-0 down. Yeah, they always had a good start against us, then, lot.
Yeah, Phillips scored straight after their second one, so it was like 70 minutes of constant pressure, give or take.
I remember the second half, we more or less camped in their half. We was always too strong for them. And then we got the equaliser, and then at the end we was absolutely pounding the goal. And honestly, the referee would have played another 5 minutes, a few minutes or whatever. I'm sure we would have got the winner. Yeah. I think it was a relief for them to come off the pitch with a draw in the end. But me and Buzzer went back into the side for that game, and I can't remember what kind of run we went on after that.
We did all right. It was in between the period where we did lose a few games after that, but then we played. I think we played Everton at home, and we went and beat Everton, and we went back on just quite a
I think Buzzer scored, didn't he? He scored the free kick. Was it 1-0 or was it 2-1?
2-1, yes.
Kev Phillips scored a curler, was it?
Yeah, and Summerby got the first one. I think Nick Barmby scored for Everton. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
But I think that was around March time, and we came back.
Right.
And then towards the end of the season, I think we actually had quite a good run once that monkey was off our back. And you started the next season in the first team again. So did you feel like your form towards the end of the season had changed Reedy's mind?
Not really, no. I think he gave me the armband. I was captain for the last 10 games of the season or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Baldy was still out at the start of the season.
Yeah.
I think Baldy might have left.
Yeah, he had.
So at the end of the season as captain, so I expected to start the season as captain, but he gave it to Mickey Gray, so straight away I knew something was up really. And then he wouldn't play me in a few of the games. I wasn't starting 2 and 3 of the games when I felt I should have, and it was never the same after that. Yeah.
Did you feel like it was never the relationship, which was totally different?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it changed.
But did you feel like your form was off? Because I can't remember it. With somebody or with yourself, I don't remember you ever dipping in form around.
No, listen, I'm my worst critic. I'm my harshest critic. If I don't play well, then you won't see me for days, or I'll be sulking. So I just think maybe I wasn't playing at my best, but I don't think my form was any worse than anyone else's at the time. So that's why I disagreed with Peter Eden. That's why I stuck up for myself. If I feel I'm right in an argument, then I'll argue all day long. If you've got a point against me, I'll take it. And I disagree with Reedy at the time. What
did he say when you? Because obviously you went to speak to him. Did you ever speak to Bobby Saxon about it? Because I believe no. Okay.
No. Go on. What was you going to say?
I was going to say just from players that I've spoken to from that era, a lot of people seem to like Reedy was the stern, quieter one, whereas Bobby Saxon was more like you wouldn't cross him, but he was someone you could speak to, and I felt like maybe he would be some sort of mediator between players and Reedy, who could maybe be in the middle and share both sides, but that never happened.
That never happened with me. That situation. I had a chat with Reedy down in Manchester. Excuse me, and I thought maybe the situation had been repaired, and it seemed all right because he gave me the armband at the end of the season, towards the end of the season, and I thought, right, okay, we're all right now. But there was just something. Maybe he had to think about it over the summer. I don't know. You'd have to ask Peter E. But the relationship changed a little bit at the start of the next season.
But you remained in the team until March, February.
I did for the majority of games, and. But he did. He started a few games without me. When that never happened the season before. Yeah. So I found that quite strange.
What do you still have a relationship with Reedy, or is it a case of that kind of ended? Yeah. No. See, no. Listen, you're asking me questions about reading. It's a bit of a bad time and all that, but that's football, isn't it? And you're 2 grown men, and it's a lot. It's a long time ago, and I've seen Reedy loads of times, and I get on great with Reedy now, no problems whatsoever. He was a manager; he had to make a decision, and as a manager, that's his right. He's the head of Sunderland Football Club. He's got to do what's right for the football club, and he did what he felt was right at the time. But then he brought in. Everyone remembers Patrice Carter on quite well because he scored in the Derby game, but. At the same time, I think when you're looking at Carter on, he was a totally different defender. It wasn't even that it was thought about. But one thing I noticed when I just look back is like you look at the players that were sold. Alex Race, Summerby, yourself, the players that kind of got frozen out and replaced. Then he replaced them with completely different players that were foreign players. Do you think that was a conscious thing? Do you think he wanted to go more continental?
I don't know. You know what? I watched a fantastic podcast the other week, and it was with the interview with Bob Murray, and
that was us.
Was it you?
It wasn't me personally. It was our Connor, yeah. But that was us, yeah.
Yeah, it took a while to get going, but then it was fascinating after that. And Bob went back to that time there, and he said, the situation with Chris Makin, there wasn't the situation. The thing with Nicky Summerby didn't need to be a problem. And listen, and I just said a minute ago, Peter Reid is the head of the football club. He makes the decisions, and he's got to stand by them. And at the time, I was surplus to requirements. He got rid of me. Nicky Summerby likes it. Now, the only problem is when you're at that level, any level actually in football, the whole point of making a sign at a football club is if they come into the football side, can they stay at the level or improve the side? So if you're going to bring a full-back in for me, then he's got to be at a certain level or it'll be even better than me. And that's the whole point of bringing someone into the football club.
Yeah.
And obviously, it didn't work out that way because a couple of seasons later they were relegated. So you've gone from being on the verge of Europe to getting relegated. And I thought it was absolutely fascinating, that interview with Bob Murray, and it was quite revealing, actually.
Yeah. No, it was.
There was a situation. I didn't have a problem. I didn't want to leave Sunderland. Nicky Summerby certainly didn't want to leave Sunderland. We're playing for 48,000 people every other Saturday. We had a good team. I just felt that squad or that team was dismantled or broken up just a little bit too early for my liking. Anyhow, not for my liking, it proved that way.
Yeah. And I think
it proved out to be that way.
It just seemed, because you went in the March, and then I think Nicky Summerby obviously went the season afterwards, but he pretty much was gone from the first game. It just seemed
he wasn't playing, was he?
Just didn't want him in the team, put him into and there's never really been answers behind that. And I think that
apart from that Bob Murray interview, that's the first time in 20 years someone said anything about it.
And it's weird because from a fan's perspective, I think looking back, Jesus, I would have been only about 13, 14 when that happened, but I think a lot of it kind of all seemed to stem back to that night out, but I don't think it did. You told me before that
it can't be a night out because Mickey was pitching in the pay, but he stayed in the team.
I love Mickey Gray though, really loved Mickey Gray. I don't think Mickey Gray could have done anything wrong. I feel that in that situation really.
So why were we left out then in buzzer?
That's the age-old question, isn't it?
So it can't be to do with the night out then. It's got to be to do with the form then.
But I just can't remember anyone dipping in form at all. Like literally nobody, and I can't think of a reason why he felt the need to dismantle it because there was no.
He'd obviously seen something, he'd obviously picked up on something. So maybe he wanted to shake it up a little bit. I don't know. That was the only disappointing thing at the time. It's just when you look back there, he just felt he was broken up just a little bit too soon.
Yeah, it proved us so, as you said. I think it was way too soon. And the problem is he brought in Carter on loan. Carter didn't stay, so I didn't think much of him. Then he brought in Bernd Haas the season afterwards, which, with all due respect, was absolutely rubbish and a totally different player. It just didn't seem to make much sense. But based on obviously what we're discussing and stuff like that, were you surprised when obviously your agent said they'd been a bid from Ipswich and really happy for you to go?
I didn't know anything about it. But I signed up for a reserve game and Ricky Sprazier came up to me. He said, you better get Mike on the phone, you're going to Ipswich. So what are you talking about? He said, you're on your way to Ipswich. I said, right, no problems. So I phoned Mike up, told him about Ipswich, said you better get in contact with him and see what's happening. So next thing, I'm down at Ipswich having talks, but no one at the football club told me anything about it. It was only Ricky Sprazier. Did
you not speak to anyone in the aftermath of it when you went? Did you receive any phone calls or anything like that? Or?
No, I had a wonderful letter off Bob Murray thanking me for my services. Well, that's about it. But really, Bob never pulled me and said, I wouldn't mind if just pull you in and say, right, there's going to be a pattern in the ways, this is how I'm thinking. Not a problem, it happens, that's football, it's a man's game, and that's the way it is. But no one pulled me to the side and told me that I was going to Ipswich. But anyhow, it didn't really, it wasn't that big a problem. Once you know, like I said before, once you know that you're not wanted at a football club, you got to go straight away. Simple as that. Don't matter how much I loved it at Sunderland. Once you're not wanted, you got to go.
So when was the first time you spoke to Reedy after leaving Sunderland, after you'd retired, or?
I'd seen him at Portman Road. I think we played against Sunderland the next season at Portman Road, and I saw him in the tunnel and said hello and all. Not a problem. And I never really had a massive problem. Reedy, he's the manager of Sunderland. He's looking after the football club. He's got a decision to make. I went to Ipswich and played in Europe, so I proved my point. I went to another fantastic football club, and we ended up qualifying for Europe. Ended up playing in Europe, so if I look at my career didn't go downwards after I left Sunderland.
No, it went up technically because you went towards. Well, obviously,
Europe, didn't we?
Yeah, of course.
I wanted to play in Europe. I felt I should have done it with Sunderland. Wish I would have done it with Sunderland. Well, I managed to do it with Ipswich, which was a fantastic experience. With
Sunderland, then, just to kind of finish off, when you look back, and I think as a fan, when you look back at like your career at Sunderland, you remembered really well. There was a bloke that messaged me before when I was asking if there was any questions, and I had a couple of people message me saying, no questions, just let him know he's the best right back I've seen during my era. And I think a lot of Sunderland fans would attest to the same, because it was a good period. You fitted what Sunderland fans like. Yes, there was kind of a sour end to it in a sense, but in the long run, 20 or 15 years on, you look back and it looks all rosy and fine. But if you could, is there anything you would change, or anything you do differently, or anything you regret?
No, well, you know what? It sounds all just ended on a sour note, but now I'm going to go reading and digging people. I'm not doing that. All I'm doing is answering your questions.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm grateful that Reedy took me to Sunderland Football Club when he built a fabulous side, and I played my best football in my career under Peter Reid, and that's all down to Peter Reid. So Peter Reid was wonderful for my career. He was a fabulous manager, and what he achieved at Sunderland was absolutely incredible. And we people in the football club, and me included, and you talk to Buzzer now, and what would you do to take those days back to the football club now?
Oh, anything.
And that was, that was all down to Peter Reid and Bobby Saxon. They brought in some wonderful players into the football club, and I played my best football under Peter Reid. So a big thanks goes to Peter Reid and Bobby.
So where does it rank on? I mean, I think I know the answer, but in the terms of your career, you've played for some really good clubs, really big clubs. But where does Sunderland rank?
Rank?
Yeah, in terms of like your whole career.
I played my best football at Sunderland. I loved it there. There was nothing better. There was nothing better. There was a stage there when we used to run out with that music. I don't know what the music was called, but we used to run out, and there was 48,000 fans there. They had to put that new North stand on.
Yeah.
It was just, that's the biggest thrill, the biggest buzz, knowing that you're going out there, and you can never predict the result, but we used to go out before games knowing that we was going to win. We very rarely lost at the Stadium of Light. The place was bouncing. All my pals used to come up from Manchester. All the United fans used to love going to the Stadium of Light purely because of the atmosphere. It's absolutely incredible. And we had it there for a while. The stadium was bouncing. Everyone was happy. The team was tough. It was a good team, and life was good. We had a fabulous couple of years there at the Stadium of Light.
Yeah, the best times I think the Stadium of Light's ever seen. If we're honest with each other. Don't think it's been as good since. Hopefully it changes.
They had 46,000 there the other week, didn't they?
They did against Bradford. Yeah. I wouldn't say the good times are coming back because of the division, but
why not?
They feel like they're on the upward trajectory, shall we say?
Well, if you must be doing something. If you're getting 46,000 in Division League 2 or whatever it's called, if you get 46,000 and then you're taking 8,000 away to Blackpool, then the manager's doing something right, or the team are doing something right, aren't they?
I think there's the one similarity I would say from from the team you played in, the team now, compared to what we haven't had recently in the in-between stages, is we have a connection with the players, the management and the board. And I think it's been a long time since that's happened. And I think it's testament to Sunderland that even if you're second off top in the Premiership or second off top in League One, as long as you've got a connection and you can see the players work their arse off, that it's a cliche, but like that's kind of pretty much all we ask for, I think. And I think the players appreciate that.
Is that down to the new manager, or is it down to the new regime? I'll tell you why it is, because me and Buzzard have just watched that. Is it not the Premier Passions? What's it called? The one on Netflix
Till I Die. Yeah.
Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And it just looks as though Chris Coleman had come in and tried to get it. He looked a perfect fit for Sunderland. Yeah. And he knew what he was all about. He knew, he was a bit like Reedy, passionate, and he knew what the football club was about. And he just hit a brick wall at the end there when, they got relegated again. But, the new regime had come in and they changed the manager. Somehow they've got it all together again. Fair play to them.
It's just a new mindset. And honestly, I think, we 2 leagues difference from, like I say, the team you played in. But again, it's having that connection again, I think. And that's what Sunderland is, isn't it? It's a community club, I would like to say. I think it's very much based on the way that people are in the area, and we have a lot of similarities as people. And I think when you can see players giving their all, it tends to, when players give their all, it also ends up where you get results as well. And that helps.
They're in a great position now. I mean, I think they've got a game in hand now. They can go 4 points behind Pompey, they can go above Luton. So it's going to be listen, you just want exciting times, don't you? I know they're in Division 2, but at least they're at the top of the table and they're pushing for promotion now. And, if they get promotion, hopefully then the momentum takes them on to another promotion. Seeing it done before that, where teams go from League 2 or, Division 3 to the old Division 1. Seen that before. You never know.
One of your old teams,
fantastic. They deserve to get back there, don't they? That's a belting theme tune. Where did they get that theme tune, by the way, for that programme? I don't know what it's called.
It's a lad called he's called Martin, but the performance, the guy that he performed as, called the Lake Poets. It's on Spotify.
They're from Sunderland, are they?
Yes. Yeah.
It's a belting song, that. I love that song.
It is good, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of acoustic, but it definitely suits the series, I think.
Yeah. I'll tell you what about him in that program, Darren Gibson, when he wrote the cars off?
Oh,
I'll tell you what, if you're going to have a smash, you better do it properly. Me. Hey? Oh, God, me. Where was that, by the way? What street was that?
Oh, God, no. That was on
like a quiet little street. What was you doing down there?
That was the morning of the game as well, that.
Was it?
That was before a game.
He must have been injured, though. Was he out injured at the time? Or?
Yeah, and annoyingly, he was getting in a decent form before that. I mean, the funny thing is, you like you said, football's changed and stuff, but you must watch that and watch certain players and people like Jack Rodwell and stuff like that. And you're not an old pro, but you were a different era. I mean, you must look at that and think, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, to treat a football club with such disdain.
It's a Division 2 and he's on 70 grand a week. Mind you, who at the football club negotiated that contract?
Lee Congan, I believe.
Hey, well, come on. Everyone has a relegation clause put in now, don't they?
Yeah, of course they do. Especially if you're like a team near the bottom.
In modern day football, you've got to.
It's just
how did he get away with that? How did no one put a relegation clause in his contract? How you earn 70 grand a week or whatever it was or 40 odd grand in 70. A week in Division 2? Dear me, it's all about mismanagement.
But apparently season 2 is going to be all about the correct management moving forward, because there is apparently a season 2 coming as well. So if you enjoyed season 1,
only if they get promoted.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Do you think we'll get promoted?
We've got a great chance at it, I'd say if you're getting 30 or 40,000 or whatever in that, surely that'll push them onto promotion. It's got to.
It should. It really
fantastic crowds, aren't they?
When we're in a good mood, yes. It can go the other way, but I mean, at the minute, everyone seems to believe in it. You can believe in that. You can believe in that regime, and you can believe in those players. And again, it's like,
what's he changed? The chairman, what's he done? or the chief exec, whatever they're called nowadays. What's he changed then?
It's just a bit more, for me, he's just a bit more transparent.
Brought the prices down? What?
No, he's just more transparent. I mean, he's active on Twitter all the time, and he doesn't cut any bullshit. Like, whereas Ellis Short had pretty much had left at the rot. He didn't want it. He just didn't want it anymore. And he didn't want to put money into it, I think.
He put a lot of money into the football club, didn't he, Ellis Short?
He did,
It was just misdirected, wasn't it?
Completely misdirected, yeah. I mean, he employed business people to run a football club, and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You need football people to run a football club, I think. I mean, I've never owned one, but I would imagine so. But just bringing it back to not so much bringing it back to the basics, but giving the club back to the community again, making people feel part of something, which I think is the first thing you had to do when you feel that disconnected to a football club. Sometimes you just need to say, like, look, this is your football club. I mean, the stadium light seats had gone pink. They'd been that sun damaged.
I last came back. You know what? It might seem like a funny thing I'm going to say, but I came back about, when did I go there? I came for a Boxing Day fixture. It was against Hull City.
You got beat 3-1.
3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
They got beat.
3-1.
They got beat. Yeah, and I was looking at the seats were pink.
Yeah.
Not the running track, but the red stuff around the
tarmac.
pitch.
Yeah.
I was all cracking up and thinking, this doesn't look right. It looks as though he's going into disrepair. And, as a Premiership club, you're getting off the wrong signal, aren't you?
Yeah, completely the wrong signal. And I think, talking about what Stuart Donald did, one of the first things he did when he came in, he ordered loads of new seats, loads of red and white seats, and got the fans to install it. So the fans were making their own seats. They were making the ground look presentable again. And I think it might
seem like a small thing at the time,
but it's massive. Like, it's because it just gives you something back to the club, and I just hope it continues on. But it's nice to hear you still care, Chris. Always good to hear that.
You never lose it, do you? We still have good chats out there. We buzz it all the time, and we always keep up with what's going on back home. And we'd love us to get promoted, because when me and Buzz were talking the other day, when you see crowds like that, you just think the players must love it at the moment. Then, players must love it. Honestly, we're running out to 46,000.
In League One, superb. How is Nicky? Anyways, you all right?
Yeah, he's still daft.
Yeah.
Still crackers. Yeah.
I can attest to that.
We're just covering the Asian Cup at the moment. The Asian Cup's on over there, and we're just covering a few of those games. So it should be good to see how Qatar get on, and see if they've got an half-decent team, with that World Cup coming up in 4 years' time. So
in December, is it?
Interesting times.
It's going to be in December, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to be strange, isn't it?
Perfect weather.
Yeah. Well, you're a big advocate for it, though, aren't you? You think it'll be a good... I remember last time we spoke, you thought it would be a great idea.
It's going to be different. You're going from Russia, which is, in all fairness, it's not just a country, it's a continent, and it's massive.
Yeah.
You're coming to Qatar. It's going to be held in Doha, which is a city of 2 million people. So it's it'd be like holding it in Manchester, a World Cup in Manchester. But it's going to have its advantages. Really, it's going to be packed at the time, but you'll be able to get to 2 or 3 games in one day. Hopefully, it's going to be very. It's going to be interesting, anyhow. Yeah.
Well, Chris, thanks again, mate, as always, for doing it. Always appreciate it. Always good having a chat. Nice to see you doing well.
Nice one.
Keep in touch, and I'll let you know, obviously, when we've got this up, and I think everyone will be quite pleased to hear from you, mate.
Nice one, Dave. Thanks for the chat, mate. All the best to everyone.
You as well, mate. All right, have a good New Year. Well, a good 2019. We're past New Year now, aren't we? Jesus.
You too.
Have a good 2019, and keep up with the good work in Qatar. Just keep doing what you're doing, mate. Look after yourself.
All right, mate. Cheers, Graham. Ta-ra, mate.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. So that was we had to go through a phone call for that. Did what we could do. We're always going to catch up with Chris. Obviously, I interviewed Chris about a year ago, I think, and he stayed in touch. He's a really good bloke, really, really good bloke, and someone that I get on with very well, and someone that completely understands Sunderland Football Club. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the quality has worked out all right for you. I'm admitting I'm a little bit worried about that, but speak to you soon. Thanks as always for checking in.
Some exchange betting companies run short-lived promotions, like months-long offers of low commission. At BetDAG, we wanted to change the way we did things, so we set our commission at 2% permanently. That's 2% on football, horse racing, golf, almost any sport. 2%. That's just one way that BetDAG is changing for the better. For the better, like you. BetDAG, the 2% commission exchange.
Over 18s only, please gamble responsibly.